Hello, and welcome to the first episode where I go behind the spotlight and show you all the magic that is involved in creating a drag look for performance, all from my wee studio in Glasgow. If you're new here, my name is Gillian Macdonald and I create performance costume for a variety of clientele. But today we are specifically following the process and creation of a drag look for the fabulous Miss Lvly Fierce. Before filming, Lola and I had sat down already to discuss the look she wanted me to create. And for this specific project, Lola knew exactly how she wanted the garment to look, so after discussing fabric options and taking measurements, the first stage for me is to start working on the pattern pieces for the garment. This is essentially where you create a 2D rendering on paper of all the individual pieces that are involved in making the dress a reality. I am a one-woman team here at Gillie Jean King and I create all the pattern pieces for every look I create from scratch. I really pride myself on my ability to create every garment exactly to suit my client's individual shape, style requests and measurements. I feel very lucky to have the environment I have to create in. I'm based in Brigton, which is in the east end of Glasgow, and I had been in this studio for nearly 2 years now. It still blows my mind when looking back to see how far I've come in my own journey. Before launching my business, I started out making the odd look here and there and was mainly only doing small projects for friends alongside my full-time jobs. After an intense year with the pandemic, I, like many others, found myself in a very low place with no job, living on universal credit. It was then that I decided to take the plunge and figured that it was as good a time as any to start pursuing my dream job, as I had nothing to lose, and as it would seem, I had everything to gain. Chasing my dream was the best thing I ever did. It has led me to experience some of the coolest things in my whole life, pushed me to create things I didn't even know my hands were capable of, and introduced me to people who have changed my working life forever. Lola was one of the first queens to ask me to create something with them, and although I had been working in the design industry for nearly a decade, I was a completely new face to a lot of people in the scene here. So having her put her trust in me to create a custom made to measure look felt huge at the time, and I owe a great deal to everyone who supported me then and who continue to support me now. I am so excited to share every stage and process that goes into making an item of clothing with you. My hope is to give everyone who watches a thorough and well-rounded understanding of all the work that goes into making a garment and perhaps to inspire a new generation of makers. We currently live in a world which sadly is consumed by fast fashion, where people happily feed into the throwaway nature of clothing with little understanding of the work and time that has meticulously gone into making that piece of clothing. Working on a made-to-measure basis means I do not hold any stock and I only order the amount of materials required to make each garment. This minimises wastage and means I'm creating a piece that the owner will cherish forever, wear repeatedly, and that is made to their exact body shape. This style of business model also means that I'm able to build completely unique face-to-face relationships with all my clients, and that I can be in contact with them throughout each stage of the process. This episode has covered the first stage in the making process, which is basically just drawing the garment flat onto paper, drafting it to the client's measurements, and planning out how much fabric each pattern piece will consume. The next episode will take a closer look at the fabric I'll be working with, and it will follow me while I cut out each individual piece and prep the garment for sewing. If you have any questions about the first stage in the process, please be sure to ask in the comments and I'll endeavour to answer these in future episodes. Thank you all so much for listening. Hope you have a happy day. Lots of love. Gillian. Bye.